We're going to break down some Heisman power rankings here on today's episode of College Football Now, but first, get subscribed to the channel here at Chat Sports. If you want more college football coverage, just hit that big red button. There's like 12 college football openings right now, so we're doing hot boards every single day, it seems like at this point. The TCU job, the LSU job, USC, we did Texas Tech, Florida could be open, Penn State. We got you guys covered. Then, of course, more videos around college football, including the latest college football playoff rankings. Subscribe, and you won't regret any of our videos. Okay, you're watching us here on College Football Now. Harrison Graham and James Yoder with you. And James, we have blindly sent producer Jack and producer Brett our personal Heisman top fives. I don't know your list. You don't know my list. We're going to go through it and kind of make a case for our top candidate. But first, here are the Heisman odds. And this has certainly been a strange year, James. Bryce Young, the slight favorite right now, but no one really clearly stands out to me at this point, right? Is that fair to say?
It's very fair to say. Bryce Young is putting up numbers that rival Jalen Hurts that are certainly as good as Mac Jones was last year, but it's a very boring. It reminds me of those Alabama teams 4 or 5 or 6 years ago before Tua and Jalen Hurts, where it's like, oh, who the Alabama quarterback is. Oh, that's kind of a boring take. And someone's going to have to step up for me to actually – I won't recognize this Heisman Trophy winner unless something happens. C.J. Stroud throws for 500 yards, 400 yards, 5 touchdowns against Michigan State of Michigan. Cool, got him. Bryce Young does something no one's done this year against Georgia in a couple weeks, in the 3 weeks in the SEC title game. That does it. Kenneth Walker gets an upset win at Ohio State as 19-point underdogs. I don't think Matt Corral has any chance to win it at this point, but someone has to make a statement game over these next 3 weekends for them to win the Heisman and for people to say, wow, that was a great season by that guy.
The good news is the top 3 guys in those betting odds all have opportunities. Bryce Young in the Iron Bowl, Arkansas, SEC title game. Kenneth Walker against Ohio State, potentially a Big Ten title game. And then C.J. Stroud. Penn State as well. Then C.J. Stroud, Michigan State, and potentially a Big Ten title game. Who should be the Heisman frontrunner right now, though? Don't project ahead. Right now, who should be the Heisman frontrunner? Let us know down in the comment section, and then we're going to reveal each of our top 5s, and we'll start with my man James Yoder here.
Yeah, while I go over this, I just want to say the Heisman could be settled with that Ohio State-Michigan State game this weekend. Sure. Kenneth Walker, C.J. Stroud. I've got Bryce Young 1, C.J. Stroud 2, Kenneth Walker as my number 3. And then, Kenny Pickett from Pitt, had he not lost that game a few weeks back, he could be number 1 for me given the season he's putting together. Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan, best defender in the country. There's one play we'll talk about later in the show, Harrison, I think is keeping him from potentially being a real Heisman favorite, if not a finalist. Go ahead with your 5.
My top 5, I've got Kenneth Walker at number 1. You alluded to it earlier. I think he's the only guy who's had a Heisman moment. 5 touchdowns against Michigan. I'll make my case later on. Bryce Young at number 2. It's kind of boring, but, I mean, he throws for like 350 and 4 touchdowns every game. C.J. Stroud for Ohio State, the volume stats are there, but I would tend to agree in the big games he has not played as well, but he's got some more opportunities. Matt Corral at Ole Miss, the numbers have been great, but they don't really have a ton more to play for at this point, so he's a little lower for me. And then Kenny Pickett, look, he'll have an ACC title game if some of these other guys lose some games and he goes crazy down the stretch. Maybe he at least gets an invite to the Heisman ceremony up in New York City. So whose list is better? Is it mine or is it James's? If you think it's James, type JY for James Yoder. If you think it's me, type HG for Harrison Graham. It's clearly HG, but, you guys, this is a democracy. You can vote. We're not stopping the count here. You guys can vote as many times as you want. JY for James Yoder or HG for Harrison Graham. And then we will make our cases for our top candidates. But first, BetUS. We've been telling you guys about the top sports book in the game for months here at Chat Sports, and there's a lot of big college football and NFL games coming up this weekend that you guys can bet on, and there is money to be had as well. Go to chatsports.com/bet. The promo code is chat125. We've extended our free jersey giveaway. If you are a brand new BetUS customer, all you got to do is follow these steps. You got to use our link like I mentioned, chatsports.com/bet. promo code chat125. Deposit a minimum of $100. You get that 125% deposit bonus, so you get some extra cash to play with, and then place a bet on any game for any amount. Once you do that, email us, jersey@chatsports. Just put on the subject line, hey, BetUS jersey deal. We'll confirm your account information with BetUS, and then once we do that, we can send you guys a brand new jersey. We'll get your size, your address, all that good stuff, and we will send you guys a brand new jersey. Email us, jersey@chatsports.com. Remember, only for brand new BetUS customers, and you got to use our link, chatsports.com/bet. All right, James, here's your top 5. Make the case for Bryce Young. Why should he be number 1 at this point in time?
Well, I think much like Ohio State and Michigan State as teams this week, Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud both have the opportunity. If either one of them lose a game, they are out for me because they haven't wowed me in any ways, but they are the quarterbacks putting up big stats of the 2 premier programs in college football right now. And take a look at what he's done. 71% completion percentage. That's kind of being devalued in college football, but Harrison, 15 years ago, he'd be rivaling Colt McCoy as the best completion percentage of all time, right, in the low 70s. 33 touchdowns, so he's up there. More touchdowns than C.J. Stroud. I know he's played one more game, less interceptions than Stroud. What he doesn't have is he doesn't have a head coach that is kind of trying to win him a Heisman, like what I think that Ryan Day is doing with C.J. Stroud at Ohio State. His top performances, though, they're decent. One was early on against Miami, 344 yards and 4 touchdowns. Had they kept him in that game and not pulled him too early, he would have absolutely crushed it and gone for 5, maybe 6, 7 touchdowns there against Miami early in the game. Also, Tennessee is a game that he had 371 yards and 2 touchdowns. But, Harrison, I'll say this. If he doesn't beat Georgia, or he doesn't beat Auburn, or if, of course, we lose to Arkansas this week, there is no reason he should even be considered at this point because he has not done enough to me from a wow you perspective to get my vote. What my vote is relying on is that they will beat Arkansas, will beat Auburn, and beat Georgia, and the fact remains that he will then have the best moments, the best wins, and the best stats of any of these candidates. But make your case for yours.
Apologies for that third. It was Mississippi State. I think we had a Michigan State
That's
logo,
why I skipped over it.
Mississippi State. Apologies for the graphical error there. My top 5, just to recap, Kenneth Walker. I've got Bryce Young at 2. He's been terrific. C.J. Stroud, Corral, and then Kenny Pickett. Look, I just think Kenneth Walker, the way I view the Heisman is take that player away from that team. What is that team without him? Michigan State has the worst pass defense in the country. Peyton Thorne's an okay college quarterback. He's certainly not bad, but if you had to lean on him if you're Michigan State, I don't think you're 9-1. Kenneth Walker, you could argue single-handedly won the Michigan game. I mean, he had, 200 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns. You look at the season numbers, 6.5 yards per carry. That's a good number at the volume of touches he's getting. 17 touchdowns. He will have over 20 by the end of the year. I can't remember outside of Alabama a running back carrying an offense like this. I mean, it's so impressive what he's been able to do. And I think I value a little more that he's doing it at Michigan State, a program that was bad for 2-3 years at the end of the Mark D'Antonio era, and what Mel Tucker's been able to do to turn this around, led by Kenneth Walker. Look at these top performances. $197, 5 touchdowns against Michigan. 264, 4 touchdowns against Northwestern. 233 and a touchdown versus Rutgers. Had a 172 yards and a receiving touchdown against Miami. He's a decent receiving back as well. What he's doing as a running back in modern college football is basically unheard of today. These numbers don't happen anymore for running backs in college football. You see a lot of teams run rotations in the backfield. I mean, Michigan's a good example, James. They have the 1-2 punch of Blake Corum and Hassan Haskins. It's the Kenneth Walker show in East Lansing, and right now he's my top guy, and I think if they beat Ohio State and win the Big Ten, he should win the Heisman.
Yeah, and he's a viewer of the show, Harrison, too.
There you go. Hey, he's watching. I'm going to win it. Hey, if this is actually you, Kenneth, you've got my vote, baby. I've petitioned to be a Heisman voter. We're still working on getting that credential up in the air. But if I could vote today, I would vote for Kenneth Walker. Again, this is based on today. That can change if they get blown out by Ohio State and Kenneth Walker doesn't play as well. Make sure you guys are following me on Twitter at HGramNFL. Obviously, I cover the NFL a lot here at Chat Sports, but I'm a college football junkie. It's my first love when it comes to sports. I'm watching college football every Saturday. I'm watching the Thursday and Friday night games as well. Always down to tweet back and forth with your thoughts, which I already do pretty consistently anyway. So give me a follow at HGramNFL. James Yoder will claim he's the only true college football fan here, and he's a big one, but I'm a pretty big college football historian as well. So it's at HGramNFL on Twitter.
So I had some people here on the College Football Live show. If you're watching this later on demand, we go live every Tuesday for the College Football Ranking Top 25 here on Chat Sports, so make sure you subscribe. People are asking for the stats of a few players. I saw some people saying, show Stroud stats. Show us Stroud versus
We'll get to those
Bryce
in a second.
We'll show those in a second. I agree with you, Harrison. If Kenneth Walker beats Ohio State, actually, I don't even care what circumstance it is. Even if he only has 50 yards, he's my Heisman Trophy winner, unless Bryce Young at that point does something spectacular, like just absolutely go off for Georgia. But I don't think anything Bryce Young is going to be able to do against Arkansas or against Auburn is going to be more impressive to me than what Kenneth Walker's already done or what he would have done if his team beats Ohio State on the road this coming Saturday, and then, of course, hold serve against Penn State. So we asked for the stats. The folks asked for the stats. Let's toss them up there. Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud. Young 71% versus 69% for C.J. Stroud. 3,000 yards, both of them basically pretty much even, and then 33 touchdowns for Young, 3 for C.J. Stroud.
30 for Stroud.
Oh, sorry, 30 for Stroud. So go ahead and read the other stats off me for
Matt
Harrison.
Corral, 2,700 passing, 17 touchdowns. The touchdown volume's not there. He also is a dynamic runner, though, so he adds that to his game. And then Kenny Pickett maybe has the best volume stats in the country, but Pitt, teams don't watch Pitt every week, so he's kind of on the outside looking in. But while it's kind of been a year of, especially when you relate it to the NFL draft, it's like, who's the best quarterback coming out? There's still been some really good quarterback play this year and some big numbers. Yeah,
for sure. I think Pickett is the guy that he reminded me early on of this year's Joe Burrow. Clearly, he wasn't playing for LSU.
Yes.
Joe Burrow light, where he was in his 5th year. Very few people had heard of him unless you're really a Pitt guy. And his stats have been pretty pedestrian, like a 58, 59% completion percentage, 1,600, 1,800 yards, something like 17 touchdowns, 15 touchdowns. Those are not Heisman numbers. Those aren't NFL numbers. Now, he's an NFL draft candidate. Now he's a Heisman Trophy potential finalist, and that's exciting to see. His team done a little bit better. He didn't need to be undefeated. I think one less loss, he'll be up there in the top 2 or 3 for a lot of people. Unfortunately, they did get that loss, so nevertheless, he is not going to be, I think, in the top 3 or 4 when all is said and done. But 2 players who will, Harrison, C.J. Stroud, Kenneth Walker III. They will face off in Columbus this Saturday noon on ABC. Ohio State's an overwhelming favorite. What does Stroud have to do for you, Harrison, to be your favorite coming out of this game?
Well, number one, it's a playoff elimination game. It might be a Heisman elimination game as well. The loser of this game probably can't do enough to win the Heisman. If Stroud goes out there, throws for 300-plus, and Ohio State wins comfortably and he plays turnover-free, he probably leapfrogs Kenneth Walker because he beat him head-to-head, whether that's fair or not, quarterback versus running back. I think if the winner of this game, if Stroud or Walker are a big reason why, they could take first place in the Heisman race. I think this is a monumental game, not only for the Big Ten, not only for the college football playoff, but for the Heisman race as well. So those are kind of my thoughts on how the Heisman could be impacted in this game on Saturday. So who are you guys taking against the spread? Because Ohio State, 19-point favorites. Wow. So type OSU if you think they're going to blow them out, win by 19 or more, or type MSU if you think Michigan State will cover, or hell, maybe even pull off the upset. Let us know in the comments. This is in Columbus, right?
It's in Columbus. Ohio State's big-time favorites. It's the best passing game. Maybe not statistically. I have to look. I think they are the best number 1 passing game against the worst pass defense in the country.
Matchup.
One stat before we end this Heisman segment of it that I want to throw out there. C.J. Stroud, Heisman candidate at this point. Justin Fields, best Heisman performance, number 3 in 2019. Dwayne Haskins, number 3 in 2018. If C.J. Stroud wins it, he will win it as a worse quarterback for the same school than the 2 predecessors, which I think will be pretty interesting to see.
Interesting.